podcast. Wednesday episode. So good to see you all here. The live chat is what we like to call in the biz humming. Moving right along. Lots of topics to discuss. Jeffrey Epstein on the docket for today. More document dumps. More scumbags revealed. Another royal taken down. I think we're at the start of that process. We'll share all the details with you coming up on this episode. Plus, comedian Andy Dick ODing on the streets of Los Angeles yesterday. Crazy footage. Don't know if we can share that with you, but we can definitely discuss it. And Candace Owens has reached her pinnacle in annoying Erika Kirk. Erika Kirk speaks back. Tucker Carlson is involved. We got a lot of drama on that right side of the aisle. All that and more coming up on this episode, my friends. Strap in. It's a podcast. Hope everybody's hump day went pretty well. It's a rainy day here in New York, but I am so happy to be here with you. It's the holiday season. Little known fact, this is the only podcast broadcasting in Excelsius Deo. So it's very exciting. We feel very, very festive. That got a 0 out of cuddles, by the way. Okay. Hopefully it did better with you guys. Hello, TD Freelancer. Mercury's here. Robin, Miss Justice, Lindy. Everybody looks like they're in the house. Nice big live chat going on the side over there. Let's get into the first topic of the day, and that's Jeffrey Epstein, obviously. So more files came out, 18,000 documents. The government, Congress continues to just drip some things out here. We'll start with one of the least shocking parts of this, that out of these 18,000 messages, we realized that all of his Wall Street ties never severed, even after he was convicted or pled guilty to the first round of crimes that he committed back in 2008, according to this report. We know that he paid or invested $1 million in a prestigious hedge fund just weeks after the allegations surfaced. The 18,000 documents also show that he leveraged his relationships with top banks and brokers, investment firms, all according to Bloomberg News, which has reviewed most of the documents. The New York Post learned that he approached individuals and companies mentioned in the latest document dump. Epstein messages show a one-time Bear Stearns banker pumped $1 million into Renaissance, which is a hedge fund renowned for its secretive, high-performing strategies. Shortly after Epstein was charged in the summer of 2006 with trafficking of minors and conspiracy to commit trafficking of minors. Greg Hirsch, who was then just a wealth manager at Smith Barney, emailed Epstein's office in August of that year and urged him to invest before the fund had closed to new clients. Hirsch wrote in an email quoted by Bloomberg, "I feel it would be a mistake to not make this investment." That was despite all the media coverage and allegations, including a Palm Beach Post editorial 2 days later headlining he was over 50 and they were just girls. Epstein responded promptly through his chief investment vehicle, Financial Trust Company, saying, quote, "Fine." Hirsch, who now runs the firm, told Bloomberg through a spokesperson that his interactions with Epstein were solely professional and ended in 2007. That was before Hirsch says he learned of Epstein's crimes. How much of this are we really, truly going to believe? You know? Oh, look at this. Faith off to a good start with Cuck Fund. It's pretty good. Nominated for a comment of the episode. Remember, you want to get those good ones out there to get nominated for comment of the episode. It doesn't have to involve the C word. I'll just say that. Does this look like a red cardigan? This is like a little hoodie job. Is this my bed? You can't really see it, but my shirt is yellow. I got kind of like a Hulkamania red and yellow thing going right now. Old school Hulkamania, not like new school NWO Hulkamania. Rest in peace. So this Hirsch guy is now the CEO and chairman of Bear Stearns, and no consequences. But I mean, if you're doing a business deal, you don't know the guys who are getting arrested for child trafficking. You don't know that. I mean, if something happens in radio or podcasting, everybody knows about it. There's no secrets in this industry. Like there's none. You can't fart a skid mark in your underwear without everybody just knowing about it instantly. It feels like that was like a little bit of a weird example, but you get what I'm saying. This guy, there's a major arrest in the financial industry, and suddenly nobody knows about it. Nobody, there's no water cooler talk about Jeffrey Epstein the day after he pleads guilty or is arrested or the allegations come out in 2006. I find that hard to believe. Hard to believe. Now, you could throw the old innocent until proven guilty thing at me too, but I mean, how far is that really going to get you? You know, how far is that really, really going to get you? I just think some of these financial guys have to face the music. Let's be honest, they don't care. They don't care. Some of these guys would do business with somebody who murdered their mother the day before if they thought they can make another 100,000. That's how cold-hearted these scumbags are. And this guy might not be the worst for doing this like right at the beginning of it, but you know that there are plenty of other people that did business with this guy all the way up until the time that he was arrested again in 2019. And they all certainly knew what was going on, and they all certainly looked the other way. I mean, again, we go back to that interview clip of the president of the United States before he was president, when he was just a real estate guy in New York. He knew about Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody did. Everybody did. You and I may have not have known. Mainstream might not have known, but if you ran in those New York circles and you were in the finance industry or you were in the colleges or the philanthropy, all that stuff, you knew who this guy was. And you knew the allegations, and you knew the rest, and people still did business with him. And those people should have to pay for that, especially those who have profited off of it, which I'm sure as this investigation goes on and moves forward, we'll find out for sure if this guy was one of those guys who did that. The latest batch of emails underscore the aggressive Wall Street tactics used by Epstein, a former math teacher without a college degree who became the globe-trotting money manager, owning his own private island. The messages also spell out threats of lawsuits against former associates and persistent pitches from investment firms post-conviction, even as he served about 13 months in a Florida prison for procuring minors for prostitution. Epstein's dealings with Bear Stearns, the investment bank where he worked early in his career, were particularly contentious. After leaving the firm in 1981, I don't know if I want to go. I did notes on all of this stuff, but I don't think I want to go into. We all know the history of Epstein here and his past. I think that's really it. Yeah, I think that's really it. Yeah, okay, that's all that part of it. Let's get to the royal part of it. Okay, also coming out in a slew of these new documents is Princess Sophia of Sweden. So Princess Sophia of Sweden met several times with Jeffrey Epstein, who once invited her to his Caribbean island. She apparently did not go. She's 41 years old now. She was a lingerie model and reality TV star before she married Prince Carl Philip in 2015. So she became a royal in 2015 after all the allegations of him first came out, but before the 2019 arrest and, of course, his sudden death in prison. The New York Times, was it the New York Times? Hold on here. Actually, I can't really quote that. I'm not sure. I think this just came straight up from the document dump. But there was an email that was intercepted that she wrote to Epstein in December of 2005. So again, pre-first arrest. This is Sophia, an aspiring actress who just arrived in New York. There was an email from this other person, Barbara Enbaum, to Jeffrey Epstein describing her. This is Sophia, an aspiring actress who just arrived in New York. She's the girl I told you about before I left. I thought you might like to meet. Barbara Enbaum was... this was reported by the Swedish outlet Dagens Nyheter. They're the New York Times of Sweden. They're very big, huge. I don't know, I'm making that part up. She added in the email, along with a photo of the then model, maybe we can visit before you go on holiday. To which Jeffrey Epstein replied, I'm in the Caribbean. Does she want to come for a couple of days? I'll send a ticket. Sophia wound up not going ultimately, according to her and the royal family, who just put out a statement on this. But how do we know? I mean, we're just taking them for their word. But I think what's also interesting here is, again, time and time over and over, we see these email exchanges, and it's just so simple. Like, oh, I'll send her a ticket. She can come to the Caribbean. Like, there were so many people just suckling at Epstein to get money, get exposure, hit the modeling agency, him and that other piece of garbage who also died. It was rampant. Everybody was just willing to be a part of this circle just to gain a little edge, gain a little notoriety, fame, whatever the case may be. I don't know, Mercury. Who you talking? Blah, blah, blah. I'm missing all the comments here. Sorry. Who are we giving whose number? Who's messaging me? Is there a bookie in the chat? If a bookie ever asks how they can get in touch with Ant, we don't want to forward that information over. Just say I'm not available. Tell them I'm an AI robot. But if somebody really needs to get in touch with me, there is email and contact information at anthonyonair.com. Can I hook a brother up with what? I don't even know. I'm not even sure what we're talking about here. I love that the live chat is just off and running in its own direction. I have no idea what they're saying. You guys are killing it. Anyway, the royal family confirmed to Dagens, however they say those things. I don't talk Swedish. I do like a Swedish fish, though. They said in a statement, and I quote here, she has been introduced to the person in question on a few occasions around 2005. The princess has not had any contact with the person in question for 20 years. I wanted to read you that statement because how many times have we heard that before? Wasn't it Sarah Ferguson who just said, I never talked to that guy, distance herself from him, and then go to find out she'd been emailing him the whole time, saying stuff like, hey, I don't mean the things I say, going behind the back and all that kind of stuff. How many times did the Clintons say, well, we haven't had any contact with that person? And then we find Ghislaine Maxwell at Chelsea Clinton's wedding in that time frame. I mean, you cannot believe any of these people. I don't know what Princess Sophia's deal is. I don't know who she is, obviously reality TV star, model, all that stuff seems to be in the right area for scumbag behavior, but I don't buy it when the royal family says, well, there's been no contact. I just feel like, well, we haven't found the email yet. We haven't found the communication yet between the two of them that would prove that there was probably contact, Faith O'Brien, Ann, can I send you my cell number and you promise to pass it on to Mercury? Does Mercury want this? Is this a love connection? What are we doing here? Tell me, is this sexual in nature or drug related? Because I can only help in one, and I'm not going to say publicly which one it is. Cuddles just gave me a dirty look. If you guys are both willing to consent to that, you could absolutely use me to exchange phone numbers. But just so you know, if you guys are going to start texting dirty talk to each other, I'd like some sort of a cuck chair arrangement where I could watch from the corner. Is that a fair price for hooking up two people that we could watch? I am a matchmaker. Cuddles, do you want to watch them talk dirty to each other? No. Oh, okay. All right. No, Cuddles is too far. Joke not funny any longer. Lindy says she wants it. Mercury is laughing. Mercury's laughing a lot. What is happening here? We got a love connection? What is it with these creepy royals doing children's books? Did this Princess Sophia write a children's book? What the hell? That's a new level of creepiness. I don't care for that. Yeah, Miss Justice says her children's book is no longer available. Miss Justice, are you talking about Mercury or are you talking about Princess Sophia? Because we got a lot of things going on right now. I feel like we got to kind of try and differentiate this. Faith says definitely sexual, likely drug related too. Okay, so a little of column A, a little of column B. I could deal with that. I could definitely deal with that. Somebody get Will a hall pass. He was late. I'm sure he has a good reason. We're not going to ask for an excuse, Will. We know you're good for it. We know you're probably doing something super important. Probably saving an old lady from getting hit by a bus while she was crossing the street or something really nice. You're too nice to be late for a bad reason. Now, if you don't mind, Will, I have to hook somebody else to get together for drugs and sexual relations. It's one of the two. Paul says they want to exchange foot photos. That's getting nominated for comment of the episode. Elena says this is a love connection. I don't know what's going on here. All right, I'll tell you. I'll flash the old email on the screen. You could send it here. There's the email. Screenshot that. Send it there. And if Mercury contacts me as well, I'll put the two of you guys in touch with each other. Do you live near each other? Is it a close thing? Are you going to be around the same area as each other? This is great. Usually people just email me and say, can you send me JSAB's phone number? Or do you have any pictures of JSAB's feet? And I tell them the same thing. Go to OnlyFans. I'm not going to be an intermediary. You know where you can get that stuff. It's available. It's available. Woman hasn't paid for a salad in years. How do you think that happens? It's feet. What is it? Feet Finder? Feet Binder? I think it's Feet Finder. Although Feet Binder would be good too. You know, I feel like most of those pervy people like to tie up things anyway. So this is getting nominated for a comment of the episode. And if you don't have a cuck chair, the book turns into a cuck chair. A cuck table. Oh, sure. Fine. I make jokes about Janine almost never. The one time I do, and she's in the chat. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, Miss Justice has the email too. All right, I want to know. Well, I have to hear from Merck. I'm not going to just pass it along from Merck to Merck if I don't get an okay from Merck. This is like, I feel like I'm like becoming a blockchain here. You know. Now Paul's got a good idea. Can we put you guys on a texting date on Discord so we can all watch? You guys can have your own chat, and then we'll have a sub Discord where we can comment on it and find, see if it's a good move or not. See if you can talk a lot of game and stuff like that, because I think I have relatively no game left. I think my game has dried up. Yeah, I'm pretty old. I'm pretty old. All right. I can't just say, I feel like for the people who just listen, I can't just sit here and read the chat, but it is pretty interesting. I don't know if Mercury's giving the vibes back, but I would love to see this. I'm not going to force anybody here. I would love to see a love connection. I would definitely love to see a love connection. I'll never forget Jay Leno on his last Tonight Show, maybe the first or second or third last Tonight Show that he did, because he ended that show a lot of times. He brought out all his staff, and he was like, hey, here's all the people that had babies and families because of our show. And I was like, that's a legacy, that's a legacy. So I would love to have an AOA love child be born out of this podcast. That would make me so happy, to be responsible for a life being created. Cuddles tells me that I've had that situation twice, but I'd like to see a paternity test, to be totally honest with you. I'm not 100% sure. My son looks an awful lot like the UPS guy. Okay. All right. We'll move on. I don't mean to embarrass you, Merc. Let's go on to the next topic du jour. And that's Andy Dick. Andy Dick OD'd the other day, and it was all caught on camera. Now, I can't share it with you because it's got the TMZ water stamp on it, and TMZ will put me in TMZ jail, as they tend to do. But it was very strange because, all right, I'll give you the whole scenario. Andy Dick is on the street. I think it's Los Angeles. Could be somewhere else. Doesn't even matter. He's on the street. He's sitting. He's all hunched over. There's a guy trying to wake him up. A guy is running over, and we're only seeing this because the guy who's running over is filming it. And the guy who's filming it strategically puts the camera down at the right angle so that it's propped up on something so that he can go over to Andy and try and revive him and help him, which sounds like a good thing. But to Paul's comment, Andy trying to stay relevant. Like, I'm not sure how realistic it is, but we do have a follow-up I'm going to share with you too. But anyway, let me take you through it. So the guy puts the camera down, props it up perfectly so that we could see him go over to Andy Dick and try and revive him. And then the thing only lasts like 10 seconds, and then that's all we see. Supposedly the guy was like bringing out Narcan or something, the anti-OD medication, and was trying to give it to him. But we only see this quick little clip, and it goes straight to TMZ. I guess they got that this morning, and it was done yesterday. I don't know when they originally published that first thing, but then they went in and they interviewed Andy Dick, and he basically gave a recap of it. And I can share just like a quick little audio clip with you where Andy Dick describes that he just found this guy on the street. He ran away from his two friends, the one who was trying to revive him and the other one who ran over with the phone and then helped out and positioned the phone perfectly. So I'm a little skeptical. He's sitting with the two of them and they're telling the story. And Andy Dick is saying that he ran away from his two friends to talk with this other guy. This other guy gave him a sob story. He had the drugs. He did the drugs. And he said it in a way that only Andy Dick could say it.
But it was a group effort of all of our friends that, saved
There
him.
was a guy that was my age and I felt for him. He has kids. Did you know that part? He has kids and he was depressed and he was on the sidewalk. And I'm like, I'll sit with you. And then he whipped out, I'm sorry, but crack. And I'm like, you know what? I might need a little bit of that. I wanted to see what he was doing. And also, I don't mind doing a little crack every now and then.
I wanted to see what he was doing. And also, I don't mind doing a little crack every now and then. It's honest. I'll give him that. It's honest. But it's all seems very, very bizarre. And the two of them are just talking about it. And they're in God knows where. And they're just, the two guys that are his supposed friends are awfully sketchy. Like, I don't know what to make of any of this. I know that Andy Dick has got like a severe drug problem. And it looks like much, much similar to the way J Stabs cannot stop stealing salads. He also cannot stop just doing a little crack, as he says. Finding a guy on the street who's smoking something out of a tinfoil, and he just goes over and, sympathize. He's like, the guy had kids. I love the way he goes through. He looks at his friends. And he goes, the guy had kids, by the way. Like, oh, that justifies everything. Yeah, that's fine. I felt bad for the guy. He had kids, so I thought I'll smoke a little crack with him. That'll be the thing. I don't know if I could say that anymore without being thrown into algorithm jail, but supposedly he was rescued. So again, this was all, and everything was sent to TMZ. So the interview afterwards, the video footage. I don't know if this is people just like staging this. But the one thing I will say is if this is fake and it was staged, we should just give Andy Dick an Oscar right now, because he looked pretty messed up yesterday and he looks really messed up in giving the recap, so I kind of feel like these two guys are probably taking advantage. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should owe these guys an apology. Maybe they are keeping him on the straight and narrow, and he did just run away and smoke some crack quickly. I don't know, but it all seems pretty suspicious. And Andy Dick looks like he's not done battling his demons. By far the most salacious topic that we're going to discuss is Candace Owens and Erika Kirk. And we've been, going back and forth on Candace Owens's crazy conspiracy theories. And that's not to say that, what's that saying? Like even a broken clock is right twice a day. Candace Owens has brought up some points and, I guess done some investigating and, maybe she's bringing up some good questions. I don't know if she's providing some amazing facts, but she's at least bringing up some fairly decent questions. And Tucker Carlson, who is a friend of Candace Owens, chimed in on this yesterday while on the this past weekend with Theo Vaughn, and they get into it. And I'll share a clip of that with you here, as this is pretty newsworthy. But Tucker Carlson sort of breaks his silence on the theories that Candace Owens has been putting out there. And I find that interesting for a couple of reasons, because he has not really said anything about Charlie Kirk or Erika Kirk or Turning Point USA or anything. Really, it has just been Candace Owens who has been beating this drum. And every time we played a clip of what Candace Owens has said, I've often wondered what's Erika Kirk has to say. But like at some point, Erika Kirk has to respond. Well, she has responded, and I'll share that with you as well. But let's start with the background of perhaps Candace Owens is making some good points, at least enough good points to get Tucker Carlson, who, whatever you think about him, and I don't have a great opinion of him, whatever you think about him, he's kept this relatively quiet because he was friends with Charlie Kirk, and I assume by proxy, Erika Kirk. He's friends with probably a lot of the Turning Point people. But he's basically saying, hey, this one thing that Candace Owens is saying is fairly true. It's about a minute or so long, so I'll let it ride out here for you. We'll pick it up in the middle of Theo Vaughn's podcast this past weekend, and we thank him for the clip.
Who was Charlie Kirk?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I love his wife and know his wife well. And so I feel emotional about it. So, I just haven't wanted everything to do with it. But I will say a couple of things. I don't understand the official story at all.
Of his assassination?
I don't understand it. And I want to make sure that there is a truly rigorous and honest federal investigation of it.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with what he's saying there, and we've gone through a lot of these theories and everything. Hold on. A lot of people are pointing at something. When people start pointing at the chat, they want to get my attention here. Oh, see, bless your heart. That's really nice. I think they're also pointing to Candace versus Erika Kirk. Okay. I guess everybody wants that. There's a lot of fingers pointing at that to be nominated. So, okay. That is nominated. Faith, you're in. Nominated. Nice job. Tucker Carlson is also good. That got pointed at. Lindy, nice job. Way to nominate it. Robin and Bird. I love Robin and Bird. I feel like are our most nominated for comment of the episode, yet they're never afraid to point out somebody else. That's good sportsmanship right there. I love seeing stuff like that. Absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. And Miss Justice is always looking out for our back as far as all the technical and legal things go. Love you, Miss Justice. Thank you for that as well, too. Getting back to Tucker here, I don't think he's saying anything wrong. I think if you're confused by the official story or you have a lot of questions, that's totally okay. When all these conspiracy theories first started, I think I shot down most of them because I felt like most of them were fairly silly. They're paving over the thing, and some of these things really happen, but I just don't think they mean anything. And I'm not saying that Candace Owens is converting me over, but the main point that Tucker's about to make, I don't know what to make of. I don't think it proves anything, but it's a valid question. A lot of people question the shooter, the motives, the other person. There's enough there to be like, hey, what's really going on? The text messages seem funky and don't line up. Okay, fine. If that's what you're saying, but we have a person who confessed to it. So it's like hard for the police and the officials here to think that they have the wrong person. Because what are we to assume that this person is just taking the fall for this? Is that like, are they covering up for whoever? I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. I get the questioning of it all because I think it goes back to, was this person working alone? Like you can debate and get all conspiracy theory on if he pulled the trigger or not. I can believe he pulled the trigger, but I think where they're starting to scratch and sniff around now is, were they working alone? So I don't think anything he said here is just wrong. It's okay to question these investigations and everything because investigations change, new evidence comes to light, you find out different things. So I think that's okay. For the first time ever, I can say Tucker Carlson didn't overreact and act like a douchebag when he's saying something. So let's enjoy that together for a moment, but let's pick it up from here.
And I'm definitely concerned about that. A. B. I think that I don't know many of the details, but I know that recently Candace said that Egyptian registered aircraft were following Erika Kirk, Charlie's widow, around for a number of years in different places in the world. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. And I just want to say that is factually true. That's true. So that's like the one data point that I happen to know is true. What does that mean? I have literally no idea. I can't even guess, but that's very, very strange.
And So this point, and again, I haven't looked into any of this stuff. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm barely hanging on for caring. But if Candace proposed it and Tucker can confirm it, that is technically two sources. If they have the evidence, if they could prove it. Why that matters, I'm not sure. What that proves, I don't know. I mean, that could mean, planes are registered to a lot of different places. I don't know if that makes any sense. And then you start going down the line of the possibilities, like Egyptian planes. Does that mean the government is involved? Were they funding Turning Point, Charlie Kirk? Because that's the thing, like Turning Point's a nonprofit, right? So they're getting their donations. We obviously know through text messages that were released from Candace Owens, that he was taking a lot of money from people. We know that there was an issue with him and Benjamin Netanyahu and some comments that he was saying about the state of Israel, and then some Jewish donors feeling like they wanted to pull back on their money. So I don't doubt that any of that stuff happened. I mean, I get it. That's the world of politics. You back somebody, then they start talking against something that you care about, and you got to pull the money, and you have to tell them, like, I'm going to pull the money. You have to make that threat of like, you keep going down this path, you're not going to have my support anymore. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, unless they take it to a violent point. I don't know what this Egyptian airplane thing means. I guess it's interesting. I would want to know why. I don't know if it has anything to do with his death, but if they think that it does, fine. But again, as I've said for Candace Owens at every turn here, you have to bring some factual. At some point, you have to stop asking questions and start providing some answers. Because if not, then you're just a gas bag out there cashing checks, which I feel like is what Candace Owens is. Like, what could I do to keep this gravy train going? What could I do to remain top of the mindset of people? And, as we've discussed on social media these days, and not just podcasters, although I've told you I've felt this too, but everybody on social media, we are all just, the way TikTok has changed all algorithms and things have become interest-based over social-based, right? Like a lot of people are starting to call social media interest media, which makes a lot of sense. When Facebook and Instagram start, you're basically friends with people. They're showing you your friends' stuff. It's all friends and family and people and connections. And then TikTok comes along and says, well, we're just going to show you what's interesting. And that we think that'll keep you on our thing longer. And then so that becomes a new thing. And now everybody's just trying to make interesting content. Then now you have people that have 5 followers going viral and getting 1 million hits on something just because it strikes a chord, or people find it interesting or captivating or funny or serious or whatever it is. And now the algorithms where they are, with TikTok being as old as it is now they're just like, when you've become a creator in a space and you're good at this thing, you're only getting limited views because they're only showing your thing to the people who have some interest in it. So if you want to reach everybody, you have to ratchet up whatever it is you're doing. Make it more interesting, make it more daring, make it more funny. And a lot of people, especially podcasters, start to turn into they got to turn the rhetoric up. Well, what is this? And question that. And it becomes, this is not even really journalism. You're just trying to game the algorithms now to stay relevant and important. If you're not being shocking and getting other news articles written about you or blogs written about you, you become unimportant. And this is Candace's whole business model. So it behooves her to sticking to the facts, the truth, having any sort of journalistic integrity. That gets in the way of gaming the algorithm to stay on top and stay relevant. So she just can continue to ask the questions and never provide an answer. And her followers will just follow her blindly. They'll just follow her blindly and never get there's never a payoff. I mean, there's never a payoff. I don't understand how that happens. I agree. This is not going to get nominated, Paul, but I agree with that. I'm going to nominate that for the truest comment of the episode. Most podcasters are gas bags. So now we have Erika Kirk coming on to Fox News today, and she responds to this, and she, essentially calls out, without using the name, calls out, I don't think she's really calling out Tucker Carlson here, but she calls out Candace Owens with her 2-minute stint on Fox News from earlier today. Take a listen.
Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
I have to say it. I've never seen you like this.
No, this is righteous anger because this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus. Yes, I believe in our judicial system. I do. We have a hell of a team working on this. Excuse my French. But this is not okay.
So you want to put these people back in the box where they've been creeping from?
I don't care what box you're in. But just know that your words are very powerful and we are human. My team are not machines and they're not robots. They are human. We have more death threats on our team and our side than I have ever seen. I have kidnapping threats. You name it, we have it. And my poor team is exhausted. And every time they bring this back up, what are we supposed to do? Relive that trauma all over again? They watched my husband get murdered. I have no idea how I would have reacted if I was there that day. And thank the good Lord that I did not have to see that happen. But my team, they are rocked to the core. So why every single day do they have to be dragged through the mud, analyzed, hyper-analyzed? Sit in a corner and cry and be in fetal position. This is a duty to my husband and it's an absolute honor. And I will never back down. And so my message to them is to stop. To stop.
And that's what we will say here on Outnumbered.
I don't know who the host of Outnumbered is. I don't know who that lady is, but I feel like she stinks. Maybe this is an unfair cut to her, but I just feel that's what we'll say on Outnumbered. I mean, it just feels a little like, who are you? You just feels a little awkward. TD Freelancer in the comments just said, I'm sorry, I find Erika Kirk odd. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't really care. Somebody's lying here. I'm not really sure who. I do feel for her though. I mean, she did get to see her husband be brutally murdered. I mean, I don't know what. Yeah, there's video of it. Or exactly. Cuddle said she's reliving it every single day. Like, that's not easy. And then when you have a Candace Owens who's like, well, Turning Point USA. I mean, and then you start in with the death threats, kidnapping threats. Like, haven't these people been through enough? Now, if it turns out that somebody at Turning Point USA really did sell this guy out and caused his death, I guess there's no other way to go about it. So I don't want to be naive. And again, TD's not the only one I've ever heard say Erika Kirk is strange. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of these people, with Candace being their leader, needs to just have a little reality check. Because what Candace is doing is utterly selfish. Like, again, I don't know how many times I can say this. If you feel this way, go down that rabbit hole. Make that investigation happen. Do it. Investigate it. You don't have to go on the air every day and be like, this is what I think today. I mean, there's a reason why there's a reason why police organizations historically don't comment on ongoing investigations. There's a reason why. If you want to get to the truth, you have to keep some things quiet until you're totally done. Not Candace Owens. She's out there just, wow, this is the latest thought off the top of my head. Here it is for everybody. Not caring at all that the bodyguards or this person or that person in that organization just lost their friend. Just lost their livelihood. I mean, that's the biggest part of this that I don't think anybody is paying any attention to. Charlie Kirk was the moneymaker. He was the driving force. I get that Turning Point is an organization, but it's Charlie Kirk. He built Turning Point around himself, so these people basically lost their livelihood. I don't know if Turning Point's going to keep going. I mean, right now, everybody's passionate about it. They feel bad that Charlie Kirk just died, but you look at where they're going to be 3 years from now. They still be able to raise funds? Are they still going to be able to keep going? So these people that were working and being, doing their passion, living with, that's gone. That all might have died the day that Charlie died. Why would they be on that side of getting rid of that? I mean, the way Charlie Kirk was going, there was no end in sight of that money coming in. Now you're relying on Erika Kirk and his memory to drive that. That's not the same. So I don't know who would do that. I really don't. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but to turn on people like that, I mean, again, Charlie Kirk was just a political commentator. He was a fundraiser. Was it important what he did? It had its place. It's not the most crucial thing in the world. I understand if a world leader, a president, a congressperson, a senate, whatever, in any country, I get when the military leaders, I get when those people get assassinated. They have real power. Charlie had power. He had a voice. I'm not saying he was insignificant and not important, but in the grand scheme of things, he was just another talking head like everybody else is right now. Like I am right now. All right, granted, he had a bigger following. I get it, but still, I just don't see it. And I don't mean to insult Charlie Kirk or his memory. I just don't see his importance, in having him taken out. But I do see a strong resemblance in Candace Owens filling her pocket. I mean, you heard Erika Kirk say hundreds of $1,000s every time you open your mouth. Like, God knows what Candace is bringing in, and she's risen to the top of the podcast charts. I don't know what her advertising, but it's all on the back of this Charlie Kirk conspiracy theory because she was known before, but she's reached a new stratosphere off of this. And if you were really friends with Charlie Kirk, why don't you care enough about the widow to just shut the fuck up and wait until you're done investigating everything? And by the way, also, who the fuck are you to investigate anything? Look, we listen to stuff. We put truths out there. We try and spread the good word, but I'm no investigative journalist. I'll say that. And every other one of these assholes should be saying it too. Frank, Janine, and I have no problem putting more distance between us because our motto, our credo is, entertain and inform in that order. We want to inform. Sometimes our informing becomes more important. Sometimes our like the Epstein stuff, I never thought that would take off the way it did, but it did. And then we felt a responsibility, and we still feel it five fucking years later to keep it up. But we were always here to entertain you first. That's not what these other guys want to do. At least they're not honest enough to say that. I mean, they really filling their pockets is what they want to do first. Which Cuddles is giving me a look like, why don't you start having that attitude a little bit more? Cuddles is giving me that we got kids getting ready to go to college one day. Start changing up that attitude. Why don't you start floating some crazy conspiracies out there about Erika Kirk? I'll throw it out there. Erika Kirk sits on the couch at Fox the way I think most cucks do. Was she a cuck? I don't know. A lot of cucks in Egypt. Is that what they were? Was the plane following her just filled with cuck chairs so that she always had a fresh batch of cuck chairs to choose from? Maybe. We're just asking questions, right? Is that what Candace said? We're just asking questions. You saying I don't have a right to ask questions? Are you saying we don't live in free speech? I feel like there was a lot of other pointing. I might have missed another big comment. Sorry. Let's see if I can track it down. Cucknapping threats, was that it? Was it cucknapping threats? I'll nominate that. Barack says Candace needs to stop. Yeah, I feel like we all think that, but it's much like it's much like a car accident where people just can't help themselves. It's like Nick Fuentes. We were talking about Nick Fuentes the other day. Like, Who's really paying attention to him? Now, I saw an article, and it was an opinion piece, that most of Nick Fuentes' audience is being driven by bots. And I can believe that. Anybody who is bigger on X than any other platform is probably being propped up by bots. I have nothing to back that up in the case of Nick Fuentes, but I mean, I can't imagine another way, because the guy is so devoid of life. Again, if you missed Monday's episode, go back and watch it, because we found out, because of Piers Morgan asking him if he's ever gotten laid, because he asked him if he was gay, because he gay bashes all the time. He said no. He said, have you ever, you're attracted to women? And then he said something like, women are annoying. And he's like, well, have you ever slept with a woman? And he's like, no. And he was like proud to say it. And again, I go back to, you shouldn't be listening to anybody who hasn't lived life. And part of living life is giving yourself to somebody else. Like, it's not just, Ant's being, a bro man and, misogynistic. And if you're not getting a leg, you're not. No. The same goes for women. The same, I could say it about everything else. I can say about, there's just some things in life that you have to earn and go through to be a human being. I'll give you an example. If I told you, if Nick Fuentes, this would be the same vein as that he's never gotten any action. If you found out that he's never driven a car, he's never passed a road test, would you take anybody like that seriously? If you found out that you were getting investor advice or life advice from somebody on the internet, and then you go to find out that they've never even passed a road test, how could you, have you lived? There's certain basic things you have to do. Getting your driver's license is one of those moments. And I'm not talking about people look at Manhattan. This is a lot more common. Like, people in Manhattan don't pass their road test. They take subways and buses everywhere and cars. I get that. If that's your thing, fine. But you live anywhere else outside of a city, and you're like, I'm too afraid, or I just, it's not my thing, or cars are annoying the way Nick Fuentes says women are annoying, so I just never really got it. Then fuck you. How could you listen to people like this? How could you listen to people who have not gone out and lived? You need life experience if you're going to pass along knowledge. This guy's been jerking off in his mother's basement for the last 20 years, and now he wants to go out there and act like he's the new Charlie Kirk. And people are defending. Anytime I take on one of these right wingers, boy, oh my God, do I catch an earful? I mean, a fucking earful. I had a comment the other day. Let me see here. Was it yesterday? I can never find these stupid comments when I need them. You'd think I would have learned and started saving these the way I keep saying I'm going to every time I do this. Hang on. Maybe there's more than one of these. Let me see. This one's annoying. I really got under this person's. Hold on a second. Hold on. This might be it. I don't know. All right, let me read this one. Okay, hold on. Chi Town on YouTube says to me, you are claiming he was ratioed? I don't even know what that means. I'm confused. How are you drawing this conclusion when there are 32? There's a number of times, respectfully, I'm trying to figure out how you are making a claim of something. No, this wasn't it. This wasn't. I thought it was it. Maybe this was. I don't know. Basically, all right, I don't know if it was this person or not, but basically the person said, you watched one part of this and you didn't watch the whole interview with Piers Morgan, and you're going to go off and claim that Piers Morgan owned Nick Fuentes. And my response back was, yeah, you don't need to hear anymore. The guy has never gotten laid. He has never put himself out. Like, it's not just the sexual, physical part of it. He's never put himself out there. He's never risked rejection. He's never given himself to another human being. You cannot take life advice or any advice from people like this. I wouldn't take advice from this guy on how to put a charcuterie board together. Like, It would be like if somebody makes a decent omelet and then is going to go on a tour and tell people how to start a restaurant. It doesn't work that way. You have to live and experience things in order to pass along information and knowledge and context to other people. Now, this is a good question from Paul. And what about edging? Nominated. What were we talking about the other day, Cuddles? Was it grooving? Do you remember we were trying to figure out the difference between edging and goovening, grubbening? I don't know. It's something that the kids are doing these days. The kids are doing weird shit right now. I feel like such an old man. I don't get these kids. The music seems weird to me. They're whacking off without ever finishing. They're calling it two different things. We read a definition. Somebody's going to help me out here. I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast too. Gooning. Thank you, Faith. Gooning. I read the definition for gooning and edging, and they sound like the same exact thing to me. I have no idea what the difference is. But then you have people out there that are like, oh, it's very different, old man. Okay, thank you. I must be the fucking asshole in the room. That must be the thing. I must be crazy. Gooning. This guy's probably the head gooner out there. You know, it's like sliming is what it should be called, Lindy. Way to go. Nominated. The world is edging me. Now there's just fingers being pointed everywhere. At least we're still getting laughs out there. Yeah, Faith, who told me it was gooning. I have no idea what gooning is. I still don't get. Yeah, I said I love it when you could read the definition for something and be more confused than you were before getting the definition. We do all understand cucking, though. Yeah, that's a clear. We all get that one. That's a clear. Yeah, let's nominate Faith for that one. That was a good one. Good call there, Paul. But anyway, it's like, you know, these people like, oh, you're going to judge that off of 30 seconds. Like, the 30 seconds is all you need. That's all you need. If this were a prize fight, Nick Fuentes would have been on the mat, unable to get up, 10 count. It's over. I don't care what else happened in an 8-minute interview. When you find out that the person that you're debating, who's a life expert, never got laid, it's over. It's over. It is done. That guy will never, I mean, as if we didn't have enough shit to not take that asshole seriously to begin with. You have even more. And Nick Fuentes and Piers Morgan were going back and forth. I was about to say they were spatting. They were gooning with each other back and forth on X earlier, and Pierce owned him again. Pierce just owned him again. He said, I don't know. I guess they brought it up, and it kind of started back and forth again. Nick was saying stuff, and then Pierce was just like. Okay, so I guess Nick Fuentes put a clip out, and it says, Nick responds to Piers Morgan's futile expose. I apologize for nothing. There's a clip. I don't care to listen to it. I don't want to hear Nick Fuentes for another second with his stupid fucking ties and suits and bad RE20 microphone with his fucking Christmas stuff in the background. And then Piers Morgan responded with, you really need to get laid, you deluded little twerp. I guess Nick Fuentes said something about Piers Morgan's wife. I don't know what the story is there. Did Piers Morgan's wife leave him or put him in a cuck chair? I don't know. Even if she did, even if she cucked him, Nick Fuentes doesn't deserve to be in the same conversation as Piers Morgan, because Piers Morgan's lived. He's hosted television shows. He's cashed checks. He's said legitimate things. He said some not so legitimate things. He's been married. I think he's got children. He's lived a life. You can listen to Piers Morgan. He's got a perspective. You might not agree with him, but at least he's in the game. Nick Fuentes is not even in the game. Nick Fuentes represents a delusional portion of the young men in our society that are really going the wrong way. Because again, I brought up the Prof G guy, Scott. I always forget his last name. Scott Galloway. Scott Galloway. There is a concern amongst youngsters in this country, and I get it. I see it. I see it in people. I see it in people's reactions online. I see it through knowing people and knowing younger gentlemen and people and what they're going through. They're just they're reckless. They're just pulling themselves back from society. I mean, and you think about it, our world is kind of built for them to do that. Never before have the young people had so many options outside of actually living their life. Because when you were 20 years old or 22 years old and trying to figure out who you are 20 years ago, which that was the case for me. Yeah, there was online. Yeah, there was like online dating, and there was chat rooms, and there was a world outside of the real world. But it paled in comparison. If you wanted to meet somebody, if you wanted to socialize, you had to go out in the physical world. Now you don't. And there's so many factors in this. Social media, these people that are just spewing the same hate. So if you're angry that the world's not going your way, you can find other angry people. I'm going to nominate this for comment of the episode right there, Paul. I like that you got all the pointing going down. You can now find somebody else who's equally as angry as you are, and they're confused too. And guess what? They have a solution to your problem. They're pointing at somebody whose fault it is. And most of the time it's either women, minorities, Jewish people. Like, you spin the wheel of bigotry to find out who it is. When really who it is has been our leaders for the last 30 or 40 years who have constantly put the next generation farther behind the 8 ball. If you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at the elected people for the last 30 years of this country. But they can find other people and be mad. There's an abundance of pornography on the internet. You don't need, how many people are like, I don't need to find a woman. I'll goon my way to, to get my rocks off. And that's that. I don't have to deal with any of it. They can put VR headsets on and pretend to be in a world and pretend to socialize with perfect strangers that they don't know and never have to make friends in real life. I mean, it's a really scary, dangerous time. A lot of these people can pull back, live in their own little bubble, get nothing but bad advice and words of discouragement, grow only far more bitter and turn out to be the person who pops, Charlie Kirk in the neck, or who goes into a church and opens fire, or who kills I don't know what's going on in New York, but the last 5 days, every day we wake up to a new thing of like some 20-year-old guy murders his parents in the house, in their family deli. Like, there's all these stories going around, because people are just pulling back. And that just like, I can, I don't need to be a real person is being supported by the internet these days. It's being supported. There's a place for them to be, to feel like they're part of something, where in the past you had to get over your social anxieties and you had to go to a bar. You had to go to a club. You had to go to a friend's party. Yeah, it's not easy for anybody to talk to strangers. It's not easy for you to go up and approach a girl, to go up and say hi to a guy. I mean, I think this is becoming passé, but back in my day, it was even harder if you were gay, because you're not entirely sure, if the other person's going to feel the same way. It was that added layer of toughness than what straight people had to deal with. But you rise up, you go through it, you learn to overcome, and then you're prepared for the next obstacle in life. This guy's not even gotten off the starting gate, and we're going to listen to his view of the world? Give me a fucking break. And the fact that there's people out there defending him, you're just as big of a fucking loser. I want everybody to know that I have just an even worse, more sour opinion of you if you're going to sit there and defend Nick Fuentes. You're just as big of a mom's basement dwelling loser than he is. To sit there and go, well, how could you? You only heard 30 seconds of it. You don't need to hear any more than 30 seconds of it. The guy's never lived. Are you going to take a recipe from somebody? Are you going to take a turkey recipe for somebody for your Thanksgiving dinner off of somebody that's never cooked a turkey? If somebody went up to you and be like, I make a good turkey sandwich, so let me tell you how to cook that Thanksgiving turkey. You're going to be like, I'm not going to. Also, what's going on with the recipe websites where they have to tell a full Martin Scorsese sized story, 3-hour epic before they get to the actual, like, what you have to put the thing in the oven for and how long and the temperature. And why are we telling? I mean, it's the goddamn Magna Carta before every steak recipe on the internet. What's happening? Forget Nick Fuentes for a second. We've lost the cooking people. They're off on their own world going, it was a cold December when I decided I was going to make prime rib differently. So I walked out in a blizzard and I battled, a gnome came to life and I battled them and fought them and found myself in the third ring of a vortex before I came out and realized reverse searing was the answer. And you got to start at, 250 and then crank it up to 400 in the last 15 minutes. It's like, can we can you put the recipe, that little stack of like, here's how long it takes, here's the cooking temperature and the time, that's all the way on the bottom. They have to scroll through the Magna Carta to get to. Can you put that on the top for most of us who don't have time? Every fucking recipe website now is it's a 4-hour epic. I mean, it's insane. Every website is Gulliver's Travels all of a sudden. I just can't. Just tell me how long I need to put the potatoes in the air fryer for. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. It's pretty good. Okay, this is another life moment. I remember the day my dad showed me Porky's. I feel like I've told this story before. My dad's like, sit down, you're going to watch Porky's. I'm like, Dad, I don't know what Porky's is. And just judging by the amount of grain in this opening scene, I don't know if this is going to be for me. And then I was like 10 minutes in, and when I started to see all the perverted jokes, and I go, Dad, I don't know if I'm of age to do, like, I literally had to be like, we should check with Mom on this. The same way I got offended that my kid he said he was going to talk to Mom, like he was checking with the manager. Remember that from a couple of weeks ago or months ago? I'm just realizing I did the same thing to my father. I'm like, I don't think I'm mature enough to see this Porky's movie. Half of this shit I don't even get. But I watched it again a little while later, and Porky's is a rite of passage. Porky's is a rite of passage. That's another thing that you got to do. Get your driver's license, hook up, Porky's. At some point you should eat a turducken. You got to try that shit, You got to try oysters. I mean, there's some people that don't even have a fucking oyster. Again, if you never had an oyster, I can't listen to you. I feel like we should have name tags. And the people who've never tried an oyster should be a certain color. We should just know, let's leave Ryan alone because he just does not know what the fuck he's talking about. Guy's never had a goddamn oyster in his life. So, anyway. I guess what I'm saying here is we got to fix the fucking food blogs because they're out of control. They're literally out of control. I don't need to know how you discovered the right cooking time for your lobster boil. I just need to know when to put the lobster in so it doesn't come out all shitty. You know what I mean? Lindy, you don't like oysters? Too slimy? Look, it's okay if you don't like oysters. You got to have tried them. You know what I'm saying? You've had to have tried them. I mean, it's like people, like 30 years ago, people were like, sushi, I'm not going to eat sushi. If somebody said to me right now, I've never tried sushi, I'm not going to, I'd be like, what? What? At this point, dude, we're going to get a fucking eel roll right now, and your taste buds are going to be awakened. You're going to have an absolute awakening. Now, see, this is the problem. This is why people don't want to try things, because you go, what about a Rocky Mountain oyster? And then you realize you're eating a bull's testicle, But I mean, anybody who's watched a sitcom in the last 10 years should know. I mean, a Rocky Mountain oyster joke is literally in every sitcom. It's in every sitcom. They just, at some point, the writers go, have we reached the Rocky Mountain oyster portion of our show? Can we put that joke in now? All right, no. See, Rocks. You gotta get a sushi. Rock, you gotta get a sushi. You gotta live. I've never tried sushi, and I'm not going to. I'm telling you, look at Merck. I love sushi. You can't, we've all been there. It's a rite of passage, Rocks. This is not shaming. You haven't tried oysters? Okay. let me tell you something, Rocks. We're going on a fucking food tour. Okay. We're going to start with Robin and some baked potatoes. And we're going to roll through the whole thing until you are just, we're going to Anthony Bourdain the shit out of this. We're going to take you to the real spots. We're going to fucking make it happen. And it's going to be fantastic. And you're going to have the time of your life. We're going to go on a fucking food tour. It's going to be great. It is going to be great. I mean, I'm telling you, you haven't lived. I don't think I stopped eating sushi because the rice, I can't stop. It's like a crack. I'm like Andy Dick with crack when it comes to sushi. I can't stop it. If I see a guy on the street and he's got kids and he looks down and he's eating sushi, I'm going to go over there and start eating some fucking sushi. And then they got to hit me with the Narcan, the sushi Narcan, which I think is clear soup, technically. That's even delicious too. I don't even know how they get so much fucking flavor in a goddamn clear soup. I'll tell you what, those Japanese know what they're doing in the kitchen. They got a fucking handle on the whole thing. And I'm loving it. My point is this. Rocks, let's live a little. You got to try some sushi. You got to try some oysters. Although I will say, wait until the summertime. Not that an oyster is bad in December, but there's something about, May, June rolling around. It's really hot. You get a little of that cold cocktail sauce. You get the oysters on a nice little bed of ice. Suck one of them down. Cold beer to follow it up. We're living. That's living. Now, Rox, explain this to me. And again, this is no judgment. No judgment zone here. This is just, I'm going to explain to you who I am. And then you explain to me who you are. And we'll see where the differences are. I always wanted to try everything because I have a little bit of FOMO. I always feel like, what if that thing is the greatest thing ever and I'm going to be too afraid to eat it? Like, no way. I'm not going to miss out on that. I'm going to give it a try. Okay, Paul says frog legs. The thought of frog legs literally turns my stomach. It disgusts me. But if you put a plate of frog legs in front of me, I'm going to take a bite. I'm going to at least give it one shot. I'm going to give it a shot. Because who knows? Because how many times have you thought, I'm not going to like this? And then you're like, actually, this is not that bad. I can tell you, I don't want to speak for Cuddles, that's exactly how her and every other woman that I've ever spoken to has had to have felt. They have all felt at one point, this is terrible. And then at some point, they're like, I don't know what it is, but that I got to go back to that. I got to talk to that guy again. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. I get that you can't, but I guess my point is, don't you feel like, oh, I could be missing out on the greatest thing ever? Like, because aside from sushi and oysters, Rox, think about this question. I want you to give me an honest answer. Why don't you take a second and think about this? There has to have been something in your life that you doubted liking, and then all of a sudden you liked it. And I'll tell you what, for most people, it's alcohol. Like, how many times have you taken that first swig of beer and you're like, what this is disgusting. And then at a certain age, you're like, how hoppy can a beer get? That's what I want. Like, the more hoppy it is, the more bitter it is, the better. Do you remember the first time you had a Brussels sprout? Now I'm eating Brussels sprouts like Andy Dick is taking crack off of homeless people in LA. I mean, I'll never turn down a Brussels sprout. Your taste buds change. And so if you're not trying things, how do you know you're not missing out on the greatest thing ever or your next favorite food? I'm so obsessed with sushi. Like, I can't imagine never trying. Like, could you imagine holding yourself back from not trying that for the first time and now it's one of your favorite foods ever? It's crazy. It's crazy. I had to dissect a live frog in college and it reached up and grabbed my finger, so I can't eat frog legs. Well, that's fucking terrifying. It sounds like you're describing like literally my worst nightmare. I did the frog thing in high school. I can still smell it. That formaldehyde smell, I can still smell it. It's disgusting. I hated it. It was interesting. I get it. But I remember wrapping up that little chapter of my life going, okay, I'll never cut it out. I'm just never going to cut anything open ever again. It's just never going to happen. It's like, I'm glad I got to do this. I've been watching TV shows for the longest time where they've had, science labs where they're doing all this stuff. I've been hearing my older cousins talk about dissecting frogs. I'm glad I got to do it, and I'll never do it again. You know? But think about that. I want that answer from you, Rox, if you can give it to me. There has to be something that you were like, there's no way I'm going to like this, and then you try it and you like it. And I'd be surprised if it's not, because usually it's alcohol for everybody. Usually alcohol is that first thing where you're like, oh, that's not really good. And then you're like 3 drinks in and you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever, this is my best decision that I ever made. Like, I remember being younger and my parents were definitely like that. Like, I was joking, or like 10 or whatever. I'm going to get my parents arrested. But I remember being way young, under the drinking age, and making a big deal about beer. And my dad was like, I take a swig. And it was the right thing to do because I took a sip of it. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, how could you be enjoying this? You know, and it wasn't until much later your taste buds change. And then you're like, I could really, I could go for a beer. Look at this. A promise from Rox that she's going to try sushi over the holidays. All right, now everybody, let's help out here. Don't be dicks. Don't be cucks. Don't be gooners. What's the best entry-level sushi? Because I gotta say, just off the top of my head, let me think about this, but off the top of my head, it's California roll. It's easy. It's, imitation crab meat with mayo, little avocado. It's delightful. It's delicious. Avocado roll is probably the entry-level sushi. It's not like this, the sashimi or get a good sushi roll, I would say. Start with a roll. I think you got to go roll. And I think you got to go California roll. Any shrimp roll will be good because shrimp is fully cooked. So that'll kind of get you into the mood, the texture mood. You get the rice. I mean, you've eaten rice, you've eaten shrimp. It's just together with like a little avocado. So that'll be a good thing. And then I will say... that, Robin, that's good. First, just sit in a chair and watch someone eat sushi. The cuck entry, I never dawned on me, but that might be the way to go. You might be right about that. Go with the cuck entry, and that might be a good start, Robin. That's nominated, and that's a late contender that's got a good shot at winning. Fully cooked, more like fully cooked. I love it, Lindy. Way to go. All right, let's see here. I saw some good things coming in. Well, this sounds traumatic. Mercury. My dad tried to convince me it was beef. It wasn't. I cried. I was 9. I missed the first part of the story here. You ate a rabbit? I played with the bunny and no one told me it was dinner. Oh, no. My dad tried to convince me it was beef. It wasn't. I cried. Oh, little 9-year-old Merc. I just did that with my kids, too. Anytime we have anything, pork. What was the other thing I gave him the other day? I was like, maybe it was the duck. I made him try duck. I'm like, it's just chicken. I'm like, it's all just different types of chicken. It was so hilarious. My daughter's on this thing right now where she's like, I don't like chicken tenders. I like chicken nuggets. And I'm just pulling my hair out. I'm like, it's the same thing. I'm like, it's all chicken. And she's like, no, it's different. And I get it's shaped different. So we have these tendies that are Bobby approved that we like to make all the time. So I pull one out and it's kind of like a rounded tender. It's not like the real tenderloin. And so I'm like, that's a nugget. She's like, no, it's really big. I think it's a chicken. I'm like, no, it's a nugget. And I got her to bite it. And she's like, no, I don't like it. I couldn't get her past it, but I'm like, you ate it. I'm like, and you're fine. They have these little things like this. I'll tell you what my daughter drives me crazy with. She doesn't want to eat the crust or the edge of anything. So my wife made these egg bites. Like she makes like egg bites. So my daughter eats the egg bites and she just leaves the edge. And I'm like, but you ate the edge on the other side. Sometimes you're the idiot for bringing logic to an argument with an 8-year-old. Sometimes you're the idiot. And I think that's the case here. But it just drives me crazy where I can't get her to admit that she's wrong on it. All right, Raven's got some good advice. And Raven, by the way, join our Discord for the love of Pete. because Raven has a phenomenal channel on there, Raven's Cravens. I couldn't think of the name. I have to go see it. And she shows all her food, and it's phenomenal. Oh my God, by the way, Raven, I forgot to say this the other day, but this almost sent me over the edge. This chocolate cake, this looks so friggin' good. I could eat this whole thing in one sitting. I really could. I mean, to me, it needs vanilla icing. Chocolate cake and vanilla icing is the absolute tops. But was this a Trader Joe's thing? I forget where this conversation was going. I think you put the cover on it. Double chocolate cake. This looks like a Trader Joe's thing for me, but it could be your local supermarket. I don't know. But the fact that you even have any of it left over is amazing, because that would have came in my house and left the house in the garbage the same exact day, completely empty. Anyway, for Rocks and everybody else, go to Raven's Cravens. She's got some good stuff on our Discord. Link in the description below if you want to join our Discord. It's completely for free. If you want to become a member, that'll cost you $2.99, but it'll help support the podcast. If we don't have enough members, the podcast will go away. I promise you that. So please join. If you used to be a member, join back up again. It's super important. Again, we've got a level of $20 a month and as low as $2.99 a month. Give whatever you can. Keep it going. I feel like we're PBS, just minus the little tote bags. But go into the link in the description below. I can't believe Erika Kirk is still on the screen. I apologize. We got so into the rant on the food and everything like that. But I want to wrap this up with her rock so we can get her some good suggestions. Anyway, Raven says a California roll, regular and spicy. The crunch roll sushi is good too. Partner hates shrimp, loves salmon. As I was going to say, once you get past the California roll or a shrimp roll, get a little daring and go into a salmon or a tuna roll. And then when you're really, really daring, go into like a proper sushi. That's where the fish is on top of the rice and not rolled inside the rice. Then you're going to really love life. I disagree with Paul here. I do not like pickled ginger. I'd say stay away from that. Everybody's just telling bad stories about eating bunnies now. Let me see here. Oh, this is really generous. Lindy gifted a membership. All right, so go over, hit the membership area right now, because the first person who joins is going to get it complimentary, courtesy of Lindy. Lindy, thank you for that. That's very kind and generous to you. If you don't get Lindy's free membership, join anyway. It's $2.99. You can't even buy sushi for $2.99. Not even at a gas station. Not gas station sushi. But you can get a month's worth of top-notch and high-quality cuck jokes. That's what you're paying for. It's not so much the podcast. It's the cuck jokes in the comments. That's fully worth more than $2.99. Merck agrees to start with a California roll, then tuna roll. Sashimi is amazing. Like that. Yeah, you'll get to that advanced if you like it, for sure. You know what I never got into, but I think I would like the cone one. There's like a cone one where they wrap it in the seaweed. And then you know what else is kind of taken off, which I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, because I feel like it's very, very gluttonous. But like the sushi burritos. Like they're making sushi burritos now. I mean, it looks delightful, but at the same time, old me could take down like 7 rolls. I got to kind of like keep it to 1 or 2 rolls, these days. Can't have 7 anymore. And a sushi burrito could just be like a huge fucking crazy thing. It's just, that's a bit much. I want to try it, but again, like Andy Dick, one day you're like, I'm totally okay. And the next day you're ODing and people are filming you and putting it on the internet and selling it to TMZ. Anyway, I think we accomplished a lot there. I think we really got a lot of things done. We have a lot to discuss on Friday's show. A lot to discuss, a lot of year-end stuff. I spoke with Erin yesterday, and she has got this crazy new game idea. She's like, you got to really step up the production here, Ann. Can we make something work? I don't know if we can, but I don't know all the details, but I heard a little bit of it, and this is a crazy game. This is going to be a crazy new game. Very, very fun. Not a BT5, but like how Erin likes to do it. She takes you on these weird places. You just follow her, and eventually you get to a point where you're like, I'm glad I followed Erin here. You know, I'm glad this worked out. So join us for that. And like I said, we're getting down to the bitter end of the year. You know, we have very few shows left. Support the show by joining the membership area. Again, try for that free membership that Lindy set up. You could click on the Walmart links below. We get a little percentage of anything you buy from Walmart thereafter. That always helps us out. And of course, you could pick up Erin's book or do any sort of other things with all the links in the description.
Show me potato salad.
Enjoy that Thirsty Thursday, everybody. We'll see you
Maybe we should
Friday.
go now. Go ahead.